This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association. Your daily recap of the information that affects Iowa's farmers, producers, and consumers, right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning broadcast team of Dustin Hoffman, Riley Smith, and Mark Magnuson. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Riley Smith.
Good day and welcome to Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Riley Smith. Today is Tuesday, July 16th of 2024. We're so glad you can join us for today's show. In today's episode, I have an update from the U.S. Meat Export Federation on a recent convention that they had and how they are bringing meat demand globally and encouraging that with even some specialty cuts that we don't use as often here in the States. But before we get into any of that, we'll take a look at the closing markets with the folks from agmarket.net.
It's time now for the Ag Matters PM Closing Market Summary, your source for market analysis and settlement prices from the day's trade in Chicago, courtesy of the folks at agmarket.net.
At the end of another trading day in the ag marketplace, we're here with Ross Baldwin of agmarket.net. Ross, what's been going on in the grain markets today?
Hey, Riley. Had a little bit of a turnaround Tuesday here across the grain markets following yesterday's sell-off, which was the second Monday in a row that we saw aggressive selling across the corn and bean market and the wheat market. But for the day, corn was 4 to 5 cents higher. Soybeans were also about 4 to 5 cents higher, with the exception of August soybeans, which traded 13 to 14 cents higher most of the day. And over in the wheat market, Chicago wheat was 2 to 3 lower, and Kansas City was around 6 cents lower.
And then before we got going on this market conversation, we were talking about how it's crazy that the derecho that just went through a good chunk of the Corn Belt, there's really not been any reports on crop damage from that. So it really does seem like maybe the crops kind of dodged a bullet there when it comes to storm damage, right?
It does appear that way. Everybody was on edge, and rightfully so yesterday, especially as the markets ended and late yesterday afternoon, because everyone's got in the back of their minds what happened in August of 2020 when that derecho went across the Corn Belt and the amount of damage it did. And as that storm, there was definitely intense winds. There was winds of over 100 miles an hour recorded, as you said, across Iowa. But as that storm worked east, it did weaken up, is what they were saying here today. I have seen some pictures of some grain bins that got damaged, and I had read somewhere that maybe farmer's elevator had some damage. But yeah, like you said, haven't seen any pictures of a whole lot of crop damage, which is good. So no spark to the market on that. For the most part, though, today the market focused, had a nice turnaround here today, but as a whole, we're not doing anything technically. You had Chicago and Kansas City wheat actually made new contract lows today. I believe November soybeans, they made some new contract lows, had a little bit of a bounce off it. And December corn, the recent low that we've been to is 403, and today's low was 403 and a quarter, but really just chopping around at the lower end of this range that we've been in. But the trend still appears to be lower. Crop conditions that came out yesterday, corn and beans were both 68%, which the trade was looking for 69%. 68 was unchanged versus last week. But the theme is the crop remains in extremely good shape. The 68% for corn, that's above last year's at this time was 57%, and soybeans at 68 last year was 55%. So we're well ahead of what last year's pace was, and we had a record yield then. So with the USDA's trend line at a 181, I think you're starting to get people that are where these conditions are in Illinois so much ahead of last year. People are starting to wonder, can you see a 182, 183 type yield? And I think the conditions support that right now, but just have to see as we move forward. The weather over the next week, it does look ideal. We're temps really cool off after we've had some heat here, and there's some moisture in the forecast. So the weather remains favorable too, moving forward the next week.
And then on the other side of the marketplace in the livestock complex, how did cattle and hogs trade today?
Cattle had a firmer day of trade, very quiet. Yesterday, they were a little bit weaker. Today, we ended the day 50 to 70 cents higher across fat cattle. August feeders, you've had a lot of spreading going on as the funds have been rolling their feeder length out to the deferreds. So August feeders were 15 cents lower today, but the back months were all 60 to 80 higher. Hogs, they had the big day where they were 285 higher on August and about 240 higher on October hogs. The cattle market just really remains extremely range bound. Last week's cash trade was a 1 to 2 lower for the most part. And the futures market's just been extremely range bound, and I struggle to see that changing. It sure seems like this market, we keep consolidating and the ranges are getting tighter, which would lead you to believe that we are due for a breakout one way or the other. We have entered the period where you get past the 4th of July and beef demand starts to slow down. You head into the dog days of summer. So I do think there's some people on edge with this futures market across cattle, and rightfully so, just given the inability that it's had to rally as cash prices have been at all-time record highs. So I think there's definitely some caution. I think a lot of people are cautiously optimistic, given cash still is in the north trading around 197 to 198 here last week. So there's reason to be optimistic, but this futures market, it sure acts tired. So there definitely reason for cattle feeders to have some protection underneath of this thing, even if it's just some put options, just to protect with these high break evens, these expensive feeder cattle that we've been putting on feed. And the hog market last Thursday, the futures market had a big reversal, and we've had a lot of follow through ever since then, which is, it's a good sign to see, given the huge sell-off that the hog market's seen over the last few months. And hogs today, I mean, these are about the highest levels they've been at for the last 30 days. So I think from a pure short covering standpoint, a technical standpoint, you could continue to see these hogs work higher, just given the amount of sell-off they've had and the bearish news we've thrown at this thing. So I wouldn't be surprised to see hog futures continue to work higher as the funds cover shorts.
All right, Ross, lots of great information today for those of our listeners and our viewers who would like to get in touch and learn more from the folks at agmarket.net. How can they do that?
You can reach me at our office here in Anthon. Our number is 712-373-3276, or you can visit agmarket.net to find any of the ag market brokers.
All right, Ross, thanks again for taking the time to visit with us today, and we look forward to chatting again for more great market analysis.
Thanks for having me.
That again was Ross Baldwin of agmarket.net. We'll take a look at how the numbers closed through the market window at iowaagnet.com. At the close, September corn up 5 1/4 at 5.95 3/4. August soybeans up 12 1/2 at 10.90 1/2. August soybean meal up 1.60 at 3.35.40. Soybean oil up 28 cents at 46.70. Chicago wheat down 1 3/4 at 5.30 3/4. Kansas City hard red wheat down 5 1/4 at 5.50 1/4. Minneapolis spring wheat down 5 even at 5.75 3/4. September oats down 5 3/4 at 3.12 even. On the Merc, August live cattle up 55 cents at 182.67. August feeders down 15 at 258.62. August lean hogs up 285 at 91.27. August pork cutout up 2 cents at 100 even. And August Class 3 milk up 16 cents at 19.85. And that's been a check of the markets here on Ag Matters PM. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break to hear from our sponsor, the Iowa Soybean Association and the Soy Checkoff. And when we come back, I have the latest from the U.S. Meat Export Federation. This is Ag Matters PM.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
Welcome back to Ag Matters PM on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Riley Smith. Time now to take a look at the latest Iowa Ag News headlines. Right now, looking at some news from the U.S. Meat Export Federation. They held their inaugural U.S. Red Meat Symposium in Mexico City, as U.S. red meat exports are hitting record levels in Mexico. With support from the USDA, the Beef Checkoff Program, and the National Pork Board, the symposium brought U.S. exporters and Mexican importers together to explore the market's continued growth potential and examine emerging opportunities for U.S. red meat. Gerardo Rodriguez, who oversees U.S. MEF's operations in Mexico, said the event offered U.S. companies a great opportunity to meet with key contacts and decision makers from throughout Mexico at a single location.
5 companies attending us, exhibiting their products, sampling the products, but not only that, the type of customers and importers that came to this event, we have people from all over the country. We have people coming from the Mayan Riviera region, all the way to Tijuana, Chihuahua, Jalisco, in Guadalajara, Monterrey, all the countries being represented here by key players. So this is a great platform to keep developing and increasing the networking, using this event also to show and demonstrate all the different new product development that we have been doing in Mexico.
USMEF Chair Randy Sprunk said the symposium helped drive home the importance of the Mexican market to all sectors of U.S. agriculture.
We're standing on top of not only years but decades worth of work to grow the market in Mexico to U.S. beef, pork, and lamb. And I think this is a culmination where we realize that Mexico, the importance they are to U.S. producers, not only on the red meat side, but also the corn and soybean producers here, on the value of the market that we have here.
USMEF President and CEO Dan Halstrom said that while some are quick to label Mexico as a mature market, he sees many new opportunities emerging for U.S. red meat.
And I think there's nothing more concrete with our mission than getting our buyers and sellers together. So we have roughly, I'd say over 80% of the sales to Mexico represented here at this event today. We have a lot of the big players like Sam's Clubs, Costco, and a lot of the smaller distributors as well, and everything in between. So that, with a very good representation of our exporter members, it's an opportunity to develop those relationships, and more importantly, to add more value into the supply chain through new and increased business.
For more information, visit usmef.org. That's all the time we have for news today here on Ag Matters PM. Thanks again for tuning in. You can find all of our content on our website at iowaagnet.com. Also follow us on social media at X, LinkedIn, Facebook, and TikTok, and find our previous episodes of AM PM as well as all of our video content on our YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell to see when those videos go live. Don't forget as well our morning, midday, and closing market podcasts, as well as the Iowa Ag Matters podcast and Pods of Potential. You can find those on your favorite podcasting service at Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify, and Podbean. From the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network studios in Des Moines, I'm Riley Smith. On behalf of Quentin Slater, Mark Magnuson, Andy Peterson, and Dustin Huffman, we thank you for watching. This has been Ag Matters PM.